Hello Retro Gamers, and welcome to another episode of Retro Game On. Today we're taking a look at Crackout on the NES, which was developed by Konami and published by Falcom in 1991. Interestingly enough, it was originally released on the Famicom's Disk System add-on in 1986, but instead here, it was called Block Break, The Mysterious Wall. Even more interestingly, Falcom was actually just a shell subsidiary of Konami. The reasoning for that is that Nintendo only ever allowed companies to publish 5 games a year, so this was their sneaky way of getting around that. I've always liked Breakout clones, even though I don't actually own Breakout. But this is not Breakout, this is Crackout! I'm sorry, there's no funny way I can say that, I've tried it like 20 times now. Let's just get on with the review. If you've ever played Breakout or one of its millions of clones, then you'll know the drill. You control a paddle on the bottom of the screen and move it back and forth to deflect an always moving ball to take out blocks, enemies, or both. When you first launch the ball, it always floats off at a 45-degree angle to the left, rather than randomly, which gives you fairly decent control on how you want to start the round. As you play, the ball gets quicker and quicker, and the goal is to keep deflecting it until all that needs to be destroyed is destroyed without letting the ball fall down through the guts. In Crackout, all blocks need to be destroyed before you're allowed to progress, with the enemies on screen dropping power-ups if rolled out into oblivion. These power-ups range in what they can do, and not all are created equally depending on the round. Say if there is a lot of basic blocks to take out, then maybe you want the power-up that widens your paddle so you can easily and mindlessly fling it around to destroy everything. In another level though, there might be lots of blocks that usually take a couple of hits to take out, so in that case, a power-up that makes your ball take them all out in one go would be more preferable. Other power-ups are a bit useless most of the time though, like the one that freezes all enemies for a limited amount of time. It's not the worst thing in the world obviously, but since you can only have one power-up activated at a time, it then comes a game in itself to dodge unwanted power-ups as they fall, as well as the expected duty of deflecting the ball. There were definitely a few times where I missed the ball and it fell through because I was trying to hold onto a power-up that made the round easier. So it's nice there is a level of risk versus reward as you play. There are quite a few different enemies in the game, but a lot behave in the same way. For the most part, they just act as a mass for your ball to bounce off as they maneuver around the screen, and with the exception of a boss, don't try to attack the paddle at all. They are the sources of power-ups though, so they do have a somewhat solid purpose. The only exception to the rule is an enemy type that seemingly swallows the ball, only to then fling it off in a random direction, which keeps you on your toes. A number of bosses appear throughout the game too, which are more or less the same as the standard type. It's just that these are bigger, take more hits to destroy, and also start moving faster the more damage they take. Another weird oddity that I guess can be classed into the enemy or AI category is called the Konami Man, who flies across the screen at random intervals. I only saw him maybe 5 times over my play period, but if you catch him with your paddle, then you get to skip the round. As you play, there is a running tally of a score, which resets when you run out of lives and die. The thing is though, is that unless you care about gaining the highest score, you basically get unlimited redos of each level. The only catch is that you have to reset the level you run out of lives on. This is a great way to play through all the levels on a first playthrough if you're not particularly fussed about the score, and over that there is also a password system. Each level has its own password, so if you like a certain level and want to replay it, or want to save your progress, then that's something that's available to you. The only problem is that the passwords are pretty damn long. But with so many levels and such a comprehensive system for a game from the early 90s, I can hardly complain, can I? For the most part, Crackout is a super fun game, and I would mostly recommend it to anyone who likes that sort of gameplay, but like me, it's not perfect. For one, there seems to be this weird glitch where the ball gets trapped in a sort of infinite loop. It's not quite infinite, granted, as it does seem to relent after a while, or you can angle the paddle to fling it off in another direction, but it can be annoying nonetheless, especially when you're towards the end of finishing a level and the ball is moving super quickly. Another thing, although not a glitch, was that sometimes there would be 1 or 2 blocks left and you'd spend more time trying to get those than you did destroying the rest beforehand. I do understand that there can be a bit of skill involved for making the ball go where you want to, but most of the time it felt pretty random. I may have spent 5 minutes trying to get 1 block only to die, but on my second playthrough of the level get it almost immediately. I don't know, it's weird and might be avoidable, but it sucks some fun out of the gameplay regardless. While the graphics are detailed, the animations are stiff and the colouring is super poor. Looking at all the drab colours, I felt a slight tang of sadness. The closest comparison I can think of is communist block grey, but hey, at least they're functional. The game graphics, I mean, obviously, not communists. But that's not a topic I feel like covering on a retro gaming channel. Anyway, the sound department is fairly lacking too. There is a simple tune on the menu screen, but besides from that, the game is musically silent. The sounds that are heard can be pretty ear-piercing at times, especially later in the levels where the ball is moving super quickly and rebounding a few times a second. I know not too much can be expected for an 8-bit game, but the noise was really jarring. I'm sure it would have been frowned upon even in the mid-80s and early 90s. I should probably add that Crackout wasn't released in the US, even though Konami did have a similar company to Powercom in the region called Ultra Software. Although if you can find it and it is cheap, then it probably is worth picking up if you like the sort of gameplay that's in Breakout or Arkanoid. It may not look or sound particularly great, but it should keep you engaged for a while at least, since there are 44 levels, all of which can be accessed individually by a password system. Hello retro gamers, and thank you so much for watching. There are a couple of new things happening on my channel at the moment. For one, I started a new series called Wonders of the Retro Gaming World. In my first episode, I checked out the Super Famicom Satellaview, which was a satellite modem that allowed games to be downloaded and played online on Japan's version of the SNES, which is particularly impressive since the service started in 1995. If you're interested in that, you'll find the link on screen now, as well as the review before that and the latest episode of Retro News Fortnightly. That's my new show, which I've just brought back, so if you're interested in the going-ons in the world of retro gaming, then you may want to check that out. Anyway, thanks again so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.